Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Well, what a difference a day makes. Just 24 hours ago, the rumor mill was in overdrive with speculation that Mayor Eric Adams' resignation was imminent. And that's what I told you right here on this commentary. But now, the story has flipped completely on its head. According to new reports from the New York Times, CNN, and elsewhere, the Justice Department is considering dropping the charges against Adams altogether. No resignation, no plea, just drop the charges. If this turns out to be true, then Adams' recent charm offensive with President Trump seems to have worked like a charm. Instead of Adams having to rely on a controversial pardon that would come with its own political baggage for both men, because it wouldn't play well for Adams in a Democratic primary, and I imagine some people wouldn't be happy with Trump doing that either. It looks like Trump's Justice Department may simply drop the case, sparing both men any political fallout. Trump doesn't have to deal with accusations of favoritism, and Adams can claim vindication just in time for his re-election campaign. It is a stunning turn of events, especially given the gravity of the charges Adams was facing: bribery, fraud, and soliciting illegal foreign campaign contributions. But with Trump now in office and making sweeping changes at the Justice Department, it seems the tides have turned in Adams' favor. Reports suggest that senior officials in Washington have been in discussions with Manhattan prosecutors and Adams' defense team, led by Alex Spiro, a high-profile attorney who also represents Elon Musk. Of course, this doesn't mean Adams is completely out of the woods. Even if the charges are dropped, the court of public opinion is another matter entirely. New Yorkers may still have lingering doubts about his conduct, and his road to re-election won't be without obstacles. His recent outreach to Trump, attending the inauguration, having direct conversations with the president, will no doubt be scrutinized, especially among Democratic primary voters. But if Adams does manage to clear this legal hurdle, the next big question will be whether voters will embrace him for another term or decide they've had enough. One thing's for sure. In the unpredictable world of New York City politics, never count anyone out too soon. I may ask Dominic Carter about this as well, but I'm curious. I know there's a sizable amount of people in this audience who like President Trump but don't like Mayor Adams. I'm curious if that applies to you. What you think of President Trump essentially letting Mayor Adams off the hook? Are you disappointed in President Trump for doing so? Just curious.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Bob Menendez, once one of the most powerful Democrats in Washington, one of the most powerful people in New Jersey, is now a convicted felon sentenced to 11 years in federal prison for corruption. But it was his performance outside the courthouse that really turned heads. After breaking down in tears and begging for mercy in the courtroom, we, of course, can't play that for you because we don't allow cameras in federal court. Menendez stood before the cameras and did what can only be described as an audition with an audience of one.
President Trump is right. This process is political and it's corrupted to the core. I hope President Trump cleans up the cesspool and restores the integrity to the system.
That's right. Bob Menendez, who spent most of Trump's first presidency attacking him, suddenly sounds like he's been a MAGA diehard from day one. This is the same Menendez who voted to convict Trump in both impeachment trials, the same Menendez who once called Trump's policies un-American, now parroting Trump's talking points about a corrupt justice system. Why the change of heart? It doesn't take a genius to figure it out. Menendez is staring down more than a decade behind bars, and he's hoping Trump might just toss him a lifeline in the form of a pardon. It was an act of desperation, plain and simple, and frankly, it came across as a bit pathetic. I have questions about this Menendez prosecution, which I've expressed on this program, but a jury convicted him of trading bribes for political favors, of acting as an agent of Egypt while serving in the U.S. Senate. He was caught red-handed, and the evidence was overwhelming. So for him to stand there and claim he's a victim, it's a little laughable. The real question now is, will it work? Trump has been known to reward loyalty, especially when it comes late and comes groveling. But Menendez isn't exactly a natural fit in Trump's world. He's a career Democrat, a longtime swamp creature. Even in Trump's orbit, there are limits to transactional politics. So we'll see if Menendez's plea falls on deaf ears or if Trump sees an advantage in turning an old foe into a new friend. But whatever happens, one thing is clear. This wasn't a man making a principled stand. This was a man willing to say absolutely anything to save his own skin. Now, it's not over for Bob Menendez just yet. Even without a pardon, he is still appealing this case, and I've said that I think some of the recent Supreme Court cases will make upholding this conviction a difficult thing. So I could see him winning on appeal. I could also see him getting a pardon. Now his wife is awaiting trial, but that trial's been delayed because she's getting a breast cancer treatment.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track. And ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, here is something you don't hear every day, especially from me. A little bit of good news about the MTA. If I'm going to be critical when things are bad, it's only fair to acknowledge when they improve. And according to the latest numbers, fare evasion in New York City's subway and bus system has dropped, while arrests for skipping the fare have skyrocketed. MTA Chair John O'Lieber says the percentage of subway riders who didn't pay dropped from 13% to 10% in the last quarter of 2024. Bus fare evasion, which was an astonishing 48%, is now down a little bit to 44%. Still not great, but progress. What happened? Surprise, surprise, the NYPD cracked down big time, and it worked. Exactly what people like me have been saying for a while. Arrests in the subway system went up 67% last year. Summonses increased by 19%, and there were nearly 24,000 police stops related to fare evasion. The MTA is also deploying unarmed enforcement agents, experimenting with surveillance cameras on buses and posting security guards near emergency gates to discourage turnstile jumpers. Now, not everyone is happy about this approach. Some transit advocates argue that fare enforcement is expensive and that money would be better spent improving service. Others, like MTA board member David Jones, worry about the demographics of who's being arrested, pointing out that NYPD data shows white people accounted for just 5% of those arrested for fare evasion in the third quarter of 2024. there's, I guess, a valid conversation to be had about fairness in enforcement, but let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. The MTA loses hundreds of millions of dollars a year to fare evasion. Money that could be used to fix service, keep fares from rising, and make the system better for everyone, including not having to make those of us that work in Manhattan pay a congestion pricing tax. Here's the reality. If people see what others are getting away with skipping the fare, they start thinking, why should I pay? That mentality snowballs, and pretty soon, half the people on the bus aren't paying their way. It's unsustainable. So while this isn't a victory lap just yet, it's a step in the right direction. The challenge now is to keep up the momentum while ensuring enforcement is fair and effective. Because at the end of the day, if you want a functioning transit system, people need to pay their fair share. I certainly pay when I'm on the train or the bus, and it drives me crazy that so many people think that this fare is optional. So, still a lot of progress to be made, but at least we're making progress. I hope the NYPD continues to be aggressive when enforcing fare evasion.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Psst. Hey, besties, listen up. I have a secret to tell you. LinkedIn now has improved the job search experience for nurses. Search by your specialty, the shifts you want to work, and the salary that you want to make. With so many employers hiring on LinkedIn, finding the perfect job is even more simplified. So don't spend months searching. Go to linkedin.com/nurses and find out why in the past year, more than 1.5 million nurses have used LinkedIn to search for their next role. That's linkedin.com/nurses.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
If you've ever seen a horseshoe crab, you know they look like something out of a prehistoric time. And that's because they are. They've been around for 450 million years, surviving mass extinctions, climate shifts, and whatever else nature could throw at them. But now they're facing a new threat, the pharmaceutical industry. For decades, horseshoe crab blood has been used to test vaccines and medical equipment for dangerous bacteria. It's an essential process, no doubt about it, but here's the problem. Over-harvesting is pushing these creatures towards a crisis, and that's setting off a chain reaction in the ecosystem. Shorebirds, like the red knot, rely on horseshoe crab eggs for survival, and their numbers have dropped by more than 30% since 1970. That's not just a coincidence. New York lawmakers tried to do something about it with a bill to ban horseshoe crab harvesting, but Governor Hochul vetoed it, citing concerns about the impact on other species like eel and whelk. And now we're back to debating the issue in Albany, with fishermen worried about their livelihoods and conservationists sounding the alarm about a collapsing ecosystem. But here's the thing. There's already a solution. I saw a piece that CBS Sunday Morning did on the horseshoe crabs and their role in producing medicine a couple of weeks ago. Pharmaceutical companies don't need to rely on horseshoe crab blood anymore. Scientists have developed a synthetic alternative that can do the job just as well. I saw that piece on CBS Sunday Morning. You could pull it up. It's really interesting. And it's clear that we don't have to keep draining these creatures for medical progress. No one's saying they have to quit cold turkey. I understand that a lot of farmers are dependent upon this, or a lot of fishermen are dependent upon this economically. But they need to start making the transition. The pharmaceutical industry has been merciless when it comes to these crabs. They've had free rein to take what they need, but at what cost? If they don't change course, we could be looking at a major ecological disaster. It's time for them to figure something else out, because if they don't, the damage might be irreversible. And that's not just bad for the crabs. That's bad for all of us, especially in a state like New York. So I imagine this is going to be something that's going to be one of the rare issues in Albany that's genuinely hotly contested from now until the end of session in June. We'll see what happens, but I am hoping we can do something to save the horseshoe crab.
Beam me up!
To be continued.